Today's the day that I'm going to finally install this Starlink cable permanently in my RV. I'm going to run it from this front bay through the RV and up onto the roof where I have installed a permanent Starlink roof mount. I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to do that today, as well as give you the reasons why, so stick around. First reason why I don't really want to run this cable any longer whenever we're setting up or tearing down is I'm always looking for a way to reduce the setup time and tear down time. This is taking away precious minutes of mine where I could be sitting in my lawn chair and drinking a beer. That's one of the main reasons. Here, come here, let me show you the other reason. Here is my old Starlink cord that is damaged, and it may be a little tough to see there on the end, but it is damaged. On our way out here to Arizona from Texas, we were in a hurry. I was trying to tear down the one day to get on the highway. I inadvertently forgot to put the little Starlink condom on the end of the cable. You're going to want one of these condoms. It will protect the cable end. However, you got to remember to put the condom on. I threw the cable off the roof and it hit the ground and the end got damaged, and there's no salvaging those cable ends, by the way. So I just had to buy a new cable. It cost me $80. Lesson learned, and now that is the second reason why I want to run this permanently in the RV. And by the way, I actually do have two good Starlink cables now. The one I'm going to run permanently, the other one is 150 foot long, and I actually keep that on hand in case we get into an area that's forested or something like that, where I'm going to have possible obstructions. I can't put the Starlink up on the roof, so I have to string it out and put it out away from the RV. That's what that cable's for. Here's the general plan of action. We're going to go from this front bay right here, and we're going to snake the line right through that hole there, through the underbelly, and you can see the sewer pipe that's back there hanging down. That's where we're going to go for the first junction. So come back over here to this bay, and you can see back in here, that's where we're going to end up to start off with. From there, we're going to go back into the underbelly and go over to the other side of the RV near the kitchen. If we walk over here, can kind of give you a better idea. Kitchen is going to be right over here. That's the sink under this window. Stove is right here. So the access panel for the electrical service is right back through here. There's a pretty big opening if you pull that panel off. Once we pull the panel off, I'm going to get in here. This is the refrigerator bay. There's actually a chase that runs from here all the way up to the roof. Up on the roof, there is a vent cover. I'm going to pull that cover off. That way I can snake the wire up through the chase up to the roof and then over to the Starlink right up there. So that's the general plan of action, but as you know, that's usually easier said than done. Y'all may have been wondering why we keep the router up here in this front bay, and the simple answer is whenever I initially installed it, there was a plug right here in the 3,000 watt inverter, so it was easy to plug in. Also easy to get the cable out to the outside through an opening here where wires run throughout into the propane bay. The connectivity has not been an issue whatsoever. This Starlink router has very good Wi-Fi, so we're going to leave the Starlink router here in the front bay. I want to have access to both the cord that goes to the roof as well as the big, huge 150 foot cord here. So what I'll do is I'll just leave the cord all coiled up right in here, and then if I need it, I'm going to take it out of there. I'll just put the end right through the bay, right through that factory hole, and then I'll have the rest of the cord to be able to string it out as far as I want to away from the RV. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is run this new cable from the router to the roof to the Starlink and make sure that the cable is good before we permanently run it. That makes sense, right? All right, we're all good there, so I'm just going to give these guys an extra layer of protection by putting some electrical tape over top. When we're running these through the walls, they do not get damaged. These things are actually very fragile. Plus you don't want to get dust or anything in them. I'm just going to tie the end of this cable here. Make sure you got the right end, obviously, to start with. I'm going to use some electrical tape and attach it to the end of this 15-foot snake and see if we can just run it right through. You can see there are a ton of different wires down there. Yeah, I definitely see it there. There it is. That part was probably the easiest part. Next step is to take this panel off. And before we do that, we made sure that the electric is turned off. This I'm sure will definitely be the hardest part. We've got a mess of wires here and a very small hole. I'm gonna send the fish tape that direction and hope that it comes out somewhere close to where I need it to. I did add some green tape to the end of the fish tape so that I could hopefully see that. Otherwise it might be hard to see. All right guys, well, I can't believe it. I'm either really lucky or really good. The fish tape is right here. I'm probably lucky because I don't think I'm that good. Well, so much for being lucky or good. There is the gray tank that resides right down here below, and the subfloor is pretty thick right here, so I can't get the cable to pull through. I may have to go and cut the underbelly to see if I can get it to be pushed back up through there. I can feel the Starlink wire here. I just don't know if I can get it turned enough to fit through the opening. There is a very small opening right here between the floorboard and the top of that tank. I got this wire pulled through. Now I got to figure out a different way to route it. Right here next to the electrical panel is the sink cabinet, and there is a hole right down there. I'm gonna see if I can fish down through there. That did work. I was able to get that down through, so I'm gonna pull it back up through the kitchen sink cabinet now. Now that we've got the wire pulled from the kitchen sink cabinet over to the area underneath the electrical panel, we're gonna go outside and drill another hole up there to fish the tape down through into this cavity so that then we can pull the wire up. I also measured all this wire just to make sure that we have plenty of wire for when we start pulling up and onto the roof and over to the Starlink dish. Outside here at the refrigerator panel, these little guys just twist right here, these little knobs. You can use a screwdriver if you like, but you can also just use your fingers. And then that popped right off. Right here is where you can see I had previously drilled a hole and ran a wire that powers our cell booster that sits up above our cabinet up there. I'm just going to drill another hole right below it. I'm sure many of you are aware that this, when it's running on propane, gets pretty hot. We're going to want to make sure that the wire stays away from that flue pipe. Up on the RV roof, we have our vent cover, and we'll have to remove 4 screws to pull that off. Once all the screws are out, the cover just popped right off. You can see what I did right here for our cell booster wire. I just cut a hole in this wire mesh that's a protective cover for the top here. I'm just going to do the same thing on this side for the Starlink wire. All right guys, and here's the end result. I've got the roof vent back on for the fridge. All the holes are siliconed above the screws there so that don't get any leaks in there. The wire running over to Starlink there. All the wire is secured down with a turn-a-bond tape in different spots there. Here's the little Starlink cable condom. We got this one from our friends at Downsizing Makes Sense YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description below where you can get one for 10 bucks on Etsy. Larry makes these with his 3D printer. They are flexible, so unlike other ones that you might buy on Amazon or whatever, those ones are hard plastic. These are actually flexible and they fit nice and snug over the end cap, and it really protects it well. So highly recommend getting these, not only for damage protection but also for dust and dirt protection. Well, I don't know what it is, but for some reason I can't get through one of these jobs unscathed. I did something really stupid today. I cut my finger with a utility knife whenever I was trying to cut a zip tie rather than coming up here on the roof and grabbing the snips. You know, it was just lazy and stupid, so I don't know what to say. But yeah, it seems like anytime I do one of these jobs, I'm always getting hurt some way, shape, or form. All right, well, yeah, I just wanted to share this video with you guys today just to let you know how we're running these wires through the RV. I know whenever we first started RVing, I was always looking online for some videos, and for whatever reason, people running wires were hard to come by. So I wanted to share this. Hopefully it'll help you out if you have a similar setup like we do. And that's it, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you down the road.